Afternoon. Happy to be back at the Shack. We were home for about 36 hours in the last 3.5 weeks or so. So happy to be back here in our own routine, our own beds, attending to classes, things of that nature, but most certainly excited to get back on our floor to kind of get things going in the direction that they were the last time we were here. We have a formidable opponent tonight, in 8-2 record, so certainly they bring in some confidence and athleticism, quickness. So they will challenge us, but in a good way. And I'm excited to see how we respond to just being back home and kind of getting our own mojo and our own energy and our own vibe back.
Well, they were tough losses on the road, especially against, such top opponents like Colorado and Milwaukee. But what did your ladies learn from that? What have you already seen that they've taken away from those experiences?
The conversation after this last week was really about mental toughness, mental and physical toughness, and that is something that young players struggle a little bit with. It is very inconsistent. It comes up and down, and quite frankly, the mental part of the game is not something that's talked about or really coached at the high school level. And so I think we really experienced that walking into a Colorado team that was playing very well, very athletic, taller at every position than we were. And how do we mentally stay engaged and how do we mentally stay confident in what we can do rather than succumb to their will, so to speak. And I think the same kind of thing happened at Milwaukee. It was the mental aspect of, just because we're not making shots doesn't mean we can't do other things positively. So I was very encouraged by Sunday night and yesterday's practice when it comes to mental toughness and really competing against each other while understanding we're all on the same team, but pushing each other to compete at a very high level. That's something that was talked about, learned. We're not a finished product there, but certainly something that will continue to be talked about today at shoot-around, pregame, and something I'm hoping to see a large step forward in tonight.
Fluctuations, do you see them day to day, game to game, minute to minute inside the game? Or?
I think it's more the situations that we're put in. For some of our young ladies, some of the freshmen specifically, being on the road for 2 games out of the routine of school, of just the same thing every day. It's just new. It's just different. And so they have to experience it to understand how to take care of themselves, when and how to nap, and then when do you have to force yourself to do your homework and things like that. So it's more just the inconsistencies of the days. Also, then you throw a different type of opponent, being Colorado, a Power 5 school who's very athletic, and how do we, throughout that course of the game, talk to ourselves in the huddles, not just from the coaching staff, but how do we stay engaged in the next play and not focus on maybe an inconsistency or a negative that happened the play before, but be mentally engaged to make a positive impact on the next play. So I think to answer your question, some of it is minute to minute, but some of it is big picture and just a new part of their basketball careers as young people.
Getting better after facing so many good post players over the last week or so?
I think you really saw a meaner streak. She's a very nice, kind-hearted, loving soul. But I think you saw on Sunday and then yesterday just a meaner presence about her, of more commanding, more this is mine, I want to do this, as opposed to let her teammates or our practice squad, kind of push her around. So I think she learned that against different opponents this last week. I'm encouraged to see how she handles herself tonight.
You have a game tonight, but if you can look ahead for us with North Dakota on the horizon, what do you say to these young ladies? You have some North Dakota women on your team. They have some people they've all faced before. Is there extra heat in this rivalry for you guys?
We do have a game tonight, and we have not talked about Saturday at all, and that will certainly be addressed, tomorrow and Thursday. But I think the biggest thing is we have to focus on ourselves and the improvements that we are making, that this group is making. Previous games, rivalries are all there, and they feed to the bigger picture, more so from the public and more so from the excitement that goes with the game. But for our young players, it's about how are we getting better from game to game, but also from last year to this year? How are we going to handle their physicality? How are we going to handle their aggressiveness better and differently than we did last year? And those will be things that we'll talk about, come tomorrow and Thursday.
beneficial can a rivalry game like this be, though, just in terms of momentum for your team? Yourself and
yeah, I think there's excitement for a rivalry game. I think some of the players, because we both have North Dakota kids on our teams that have played on ND Pro and other teams together, there's certainly some excitement to seeing their friends, to, you know, kind of getting back at that. You know, we'll keep the conversation about right now it's just another game for us, and we have to focus on what we can control and the things that we can do, because we're going to go into a hostile environment that some of us have been in before, and some of us will be a new experience. But at the end of the day, the rivalry games, whether it's Duke, Carolina, UND, NDSU, you know, they're fun to be a part of.
Look at this game back at home. Do you see it as a chance to kind of reset after a tough road trip?
Yeah, you know, I thought we were playing really, really good basketball at the beginning of the season, the first 4 or 5 games. Very selfless, high energy, hardworking, diving on the floor, picking each other up. And then you go on the road and you face some adversity. We certainly have learned from that. We are still learning from that, but it's good to come back to an environment that we know we've been successful, and there's a extra confidence card in your pocket that we've done it here. We've been very successful here. This is our routine. You know, they went to class this morning. They have lunch. We've got, you know, it's something that they're familiar with. So that's not a change. And, you know, whether you want to use the word restart, you know, that's not something we've used, but it's about getting back to our vibe, to our mojo, what we're capable of, and being able to do that tonight is exciting.